You won't believe what I just saw on Instagram. If it's another slime video, don't bother showing it to me. No, Emma, my old college friend, she just posted that she got diagnosed with ADHD. Really? Yeah, but I don't think she really has ADHD. Why not? Well, she had good grades in school, and she's not constantly forgetting stuff or talking way too much like you. Whoa, thank you for that. I mean, she just seems normal. Well, maybe she has invisible ADHD. Invisible ADHD? Come on, no, you're just making things up. Well, a lot of people have ADHD without looking like they do. That's because what most people think ADHD looks like is really wrong. It's based on outdated stereotypes, when in reality, ADHD is way more subtle and complex. Some people with ADHD do fit the stereotype. They might struggle to stay physically still, talk super fast, or interrupt people because of impulsivity. So you can actually look like you have ADHD. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that people who experience their symptoms differently don't have ADHD. For example, many adults with ADHD don't show obvious physical hyperactivity, but their brains, they never stop thinking. They're hyperactive internally, where no one else can see it. Wait, you can be hyperactive on the inside? Yeah, and some people with ADHD aren't hyperactive at all. Instead, they might struggle more with inattentive symptoms. Things like zoning out in conversations, forgetting stuff, or having a really hard time finishing complex tasks, like filing their taxes. And then, there are people with ADHD who have gotten really good at compensating. Compensating? What's that? It's when people with ADHD work twice as hard just to keep up. From the outside, they might seem totally fine, organized, responsible, even on top of things. But behind the scenes, they're mentally exhausted from overcorrecting every little struggle ADHD throws at them. Constantly managing ADHD like this can lead to burnout, exhaustion, and anxiety. And the worst part, people who compensate really well often get criticized for it. Why are you so rigid about your schedule? You need to relax more. You're always overthinking. But what people don't realize is, without these strategies, everything falls apart. They are not being overly rigid. They're just trying to keep their life from falling into total chaos. Take something as simple as grocery shopping. Most people can just walk into a store, grab what they need, and be done. But if I try to wing it, I'll get distracted, spend way too much time wandering the aisles, and still forget half the things I actually needed. And then it snowballs. Because if I forget to buy detergent, I can't do laundry, and suddenly I'm drowning in a mountain of clothes. That's why, like many people with ADHD, I rely on strict routines, checklists, and automatic reminders. But here's where it gets tricky. When you've been compensating like this for so long, it just feels normal. You think everyone is putting the same level of efforts just to keep their life together. And because so many people who compensate are perfectionists and terrified of being seen as lazy, they don't even allow themselves to consider ADHD as a possibility. That was exactly me before I was diagnosed at 29. I spent years convincing myself I just needed to try harder, that if I was struggling, it was my fault. I was so scared I was just making excuses. When you've grown up with undiagnosed ADHD, you often become a pro at masking and compensating for your struggles. If you were ever wondered, could I have ADHD? My ADHD pre-diagnosis workbook might be just what you need. It walks you through 25 official and unofficial symptoms of ADHD with clear examples of how they can show up in your daily life. It even includes examples of masking and compensating behaviors to help you better understand yourself. Learn more about it in the description below. So, is compensating a good thing? Well, yes and no. It depends how you compensate. If your coping mechanisms make life easier and reduce stress, great. But if they're built on fear, anxiety, or the constant pressure to keep up, they can actually make things worse. So, people with invisible ADHD are just compensating really well? That, or they're masking. Masking is when you try to act normal to fit in. People who mask ADHD symptoms hide their true personalities and behaviors because they are afraid of being judged or rejected. It's not just an ADHD thing. Lots of people mask in different ways, but ADHD masking often starts young. As kids, kids, we quickly learn that certain ADHD behaviors aren't considered socially acceptable. If we let these behaviors show, we get in trouble, so we learn to suppress them. Some people do it a little, others do it a lot. Some find it exhausting, others get so used to it that they don't even notice they're doing it anymore. But if someone doesn't act like they have ADHD and they don't look like they have ADHD, can they really have ADHD? Well, that's actually why so many adults get diagnosed later in life. Mental health professionals are finally understanding how some people can fly under the radar for years. They still experience enough ADHD symptoms to get diagnosed, and those symptoms still negatively impact their lives. It just looks different. For example, someone who doesn't compensate might constantly lose their phone. Someone who does compensate, they'll check their pockets obsessively to make sure it's still there. And eventually, many people with invisible ADHD will reach a point where they can't mask or compensate anymore. Imagine a young woman who's been managing her ADHD pretty well, at least from the outside. She's built super rigid routines, like forcing herself to do a load of laundry every day to keep things from piling up. But then, she becomes a mom, and suddenly, her old strategy don't work anymore. Her compensating system falls apart, and so she starts experiencing all the negative consequences of her ADHD symptoms. So, do you think Emma really has ADHD? If she says she was diagnosed, it's not our place to judge. I'm sure she's already feeling vulnerable about talking about it. Instead of doubting her, let's use this as a reminder that ADHD is way more complex than most people think, and that every single person with ADHD experiences it differently. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content about ADHD.